In a chapter devoted to complaints of the respiratory tract, one would expect that most of the exercises would be breathing ones, and so they are.
Here is one which is called the bellows breath, or BHASTRIKA. However deeply we inhale and however thoroughly we exhale, there always remains in the lungs a residue of stale air. It is vital to clear this out to ensure a complete renovation of air, and yoga's unique method of doing this is this exercise. Sit down on a hard chair with your feet flat on the floor, your hands on your knees, palms down, and your spine erect. Do not let your tummy muscles sag. While sitting up straight, slowly and deeply inhale. When you have completed your inhalation, suddenly bend forward from the waist until your head touches your knees or as near to them as you can get, and at the same time exhale with as much force as you can. This is one of the few times in yoga that you should use force. The bending forward movement will squeeze every bit of stale air from your lungs. 3. As you slowly straighten up, begin inhaling again and complete your inhalation while sitting up straight. Then exhale with force once more, and at the same time bend your body forward until your head touches your knees. Perform the bellows breath only twice at first, but gradually increase the number of breaths you take until you are doing it 12 times a day. Add one extra breath per week. After every fourth inhalation, retain the breath for up to 6 seconds and then exhale immediately while bending forward once more. Do not perform the bellows breath to excess. 12 times is enough even for the advanced student. The benefits of this exercise, apart from cleansing the lungs and bronchial passages, are the toning up of the whole lung action with highly stimulating effects on the entire body. The bending forward and straightening movements help to relieve constipation, and as you know by now, anything that is an enemy of constipation is a friend of the body. So this exercise is as useful as it is simple to perform. And now for something more difficult but equally beneficial. This is another asana with an animal name called Matsy asana, or the fish posture. In this exercise, the chest is allowed to expand fully during deep breathing, and it also removes stiffness of the neck and shoulders, and so is a useful exercise with which to follow the shoulder stand described in chapter 4. It also strengthens the thyroid and parathyroid glands and tones up the circulation of the blood. If you suffer from excessive cold in the winter, this is a good exercise to warm yourself. There are 3 variations of the fish posture, and I will start with the easiest for all beginners. Variation 1. Lie flat on your back with your legs outstretched and feet together. With the help of your elbows, raise your chest and bend your head as far back as you can until the crown is touching the floor. Try to hold this position for 30 seconds, and then very slowly lower your body to the floor. Relax for a few moments before proceeding to Variation 2. A little more difficult, this one. Sit down in the lotus pose, and with the help of your elbows bend your body backwards very slowly. Bend your head back as far as you possibly can until the crown is resting on the floor. Grasp your toes with your fingers and arch your spine as fully as you possibly can. Remain thus for up to 30 seconds and then relax. See figure 32, page 95. Variation 3. Proceed as above, but instead of grasping your toes with your fingers, place your hands behind your head with your arms crossed, or else with your fingers laced together and placed just behind your neck. If you are still having difficulty with the lotus pose, and I know that many of you will take quite some time to master it as it is very difficult for the average Westerner, then perform the easiest of the variations of this posture until you can go a stage farther. In all 3 of the variations, practice the yoga complete breath, and it is a good place here to remind you that this complete breath should be performed slowly and fully. There should be no rushing over it. It is far better to take 2 or 3 really deep breaths than half a dozen shallow ones. All you hurried business people, take note. The yoga complete breath, while performed when the body is in the fish posture, helps to remove the spasm from the bronchial tubes and also helps to relieve asthma. As with many of the yoga asana, this posture has a variation for advanced students only. I include it here for the sake of interest and in case there may be some readers adventurous enough to attempt it. Variation 4. Begin in the lotus pose once more, but this time instead of levering yourself backwards on your elbows, bend forward very slowly until your face is touching the floor. You will feel considerable pressure on your hip joints, so please be careful not to strain yourself. Remain thus for a few seconds only and then straighten up immediately. When you can perform this variation with ease, and it can be done easily with patient practice, gradually extend the period when your face is touching the floor, and then try to practice the yoga complete breath. After this variation, lie flat on your back and relax for a few minutes. I will end this chapter with the joker of the pack so far as yoga is concerned. Although a highly effective and useful exercise, it entails pulling a grotesque face. However, as yoga is best done in solitude, there should not be anyone around to take fright. Hatha yoga being a complete science, no part of the body has been overlooked, including the throat and tongue, and there is a unique exercise for this area known as simhasana, the lion posture. Method. Kneel down on the floor, hands on your knees, palms upwards, and then sit back on your heels. Very slowly inhale, and when you have completed your inhalation, hold your breath for an instant and then exhale through the mouth with as much force as you can. At the end of your exhalation, stick out your tongue as far as you possibly can to the point of gagging. At the same time, tense every muscle in your body, including your arms and fingers, pop your eyes, and generally make yourself look like a gargoyle. The more gruesome the face, the more benefit you will derive from this exercise. Retain this anesthetic posture for as long as you comfortably can without inhaling, and then relax and breathe naturally for a few seconds. Then repeat the lion posture up to 6 times in every practice session, and particularly if you suffer from any form of chronic condition of the throat or tongue. You will find that the practice of Sinhasana will relieve a sore throat more quickly than the most powerful drugs or lozenges, as it supplies the throat and tongue with a richer supply of blood, which is nature's own cure. The lion posture is beloved of singers and actors whose voices are part of their livelihood, and I recommend it to anyone who has any public speaking to do. Ideally, all yoga asana should be performed in the open air in order to draw into the lungs the maximum amount of fresh air. However, not everyone is lucky enough to have a garden, in which case you should always practice before an open window. In the case of exercises for asthma, bronchitis, and allied complaints mentioned in this chapter, this is a vital necessity. Chapter 9. Arthritis and Rheumatism. One of yoga's answers to the problems with which this chapter is concerned reads a little like black magic. Still, it adds a touch of the bizarre and the exotic to this exacting science of discipline, and, as with all yoga practices, there is sound good sense behind its methods. The Indians claim that people who are afflicted with arthritis or light complaints should keep a raw, unpeeled, winter crop potato, yes, I did say a potato, close to their skin day and night until the condition is relieved. It sounds a little like an old gypsy legend, and as a matter of fact, I did meet a gypsy some time ago who was afflicted with arthritis in the shoulders. I told him this yoga story about keeping a potato near one's skin, and he looked at me in sheer amazement. He was completely puzzled as to how I had got hold of this old gypsy secret. So it seems that way back in time, gypsy or yogi, they had respect for the humble potato as a powerful cure for arthritis. It need not be a very large potato, as apparently the smaller ones work just as efficiently, and I must say more conveniently. An over-large potato carried upon the person could lead to all kinds of questions and complications. The potato should be discarded when it either grows very hard like a stone or else becomes soft and wrinkled, and should be replaced by a fresh one, but make quite sure it is a winter crop one. You could keep it in your pocket during the day, and at night slip it into the toe of an old stocking and draw the other end over your hand so that the potato does not roll away from you while you sleep. If you are married, this practice could produce some hilarity from your partner, but the laugh would be yours if you cured your arthritis by this unorthodox method. So bear with the jeers of your mate and try the experiment. You may be agreeably surprised. For good measure, while you are on the potato cure, you should drink potato water, which is one of the very best alkalizing drinks and helps the system to eliminate the impurities which are to blame for your complaint. To prepare this drink, and it need not be unpalatable if you flavor it well, wash 4 or 5 fairly large potatoes but do not peel them. Put them in a saucepan with 2 pints of water and bring to the boil. Simmer them slowly for about an hour and then strain through a fine sieve or cloth. Drink the water first thing in the morning, at least once or twice during the day, and just before you slip your hand into that stocking with the potato in it before you hop into bed at night. If you visit your local health shop, you will find all kinds of vegetable extracts and salts with which to make your potato water more drinkable. It is also highly beneficial to arthritis sufferers to eat 1 or 2 finely grated raw potatoes, including the skin, every day. I know it sounds revolting, but, added to soups, stews, salads, or vegetables just before serving, you would hardly know it was there. However, your system will know it is there and react in a very favorable way. It is worth trying, is it not? And I would be most interested to hear from my readers who notice an improvement in their condition through the potato cure. But let us now turn this from a cookery book back into a book on Hatha Yoga. Here is an exercise known as Halasana or the plow posture. One of the basic yoga asana, it stretches the vertebrae to the maximum, and subjects the abdomen and its organs and muscles to a powerful massage. The nerve center and cells along the spine are stimulated as they receive a richer supply of blood. By practicing this exercise, your spine will gradually become more elastic, and as it affects the kidneys, it is a powerful way of eliminating the toxic waste that is the primary cause of arthritis and allied complaints. Waste is the foundation of all disease. It cannot flourish if the body is purified. And now for the plow posture. See page 137. 1. Lie down on your back, feet together and hands along your sides. Raise your legs and buttocks off the ground, and as you put your hands on your hips to steady yourself, push your legs over your head while keeping your knees straight. The first stage of the plow posture is pictured in figure 44, page 137. 2. Bend your legs backwards until your toes touch the ground. Press your chin firmly against your chest in a chin lock and place your hands, palms down, facing the opposite way to your legs. Your body now roughly resembles an old-fashioned plow. Try to increase the stretch of your spine by pushing your toes away from your head as far as you can. I have demonstrated the correct position in figure 45. Your hands may be placed in two other ways if you wish. One way is to lace them together and place them behind your head just above the neck, and the other is to keep them on the hips as in stage 1. Indeed, this way may help you to push your body over a little more and increase the stretch of the spine. Some of my older readers may find difficulty with halasana at first, so try it this way. Take your starting position with your head 2, 3, or more feet away from the wall according to your height and convenience. When you swing your legs over your head, your toes will touch the wall. Try then to walk down the wall with your toes, but gently please. Do not try to force your toes lower down the wall than they will comfortably go, otherwise an enraged and rigid muscle could repay your lack of consideration by giving you agony for weeks, which would have the effect of scaring you away forevermore from this most valuable posture. So careful, please. When you are able to perform this plow posture to your liking, try to increase, all the time, the overall stretch, as this position is most beneficial when carried to its extreme form, i.e. with the toes at the maximum distance from the head and the chin pressed firmly into the middle of the chest, as in the illustration. The way you unwind yourself from the plow posture is equally important as the way you get into it. Performed in its correct way, the unwinding of the plow requires considerable muscular control, so, as always, go slowly at first and constant practice will give you the control you need. As you unwind this posture, keep your head on the floor throughout until you return to the starting position flat on your back. Your natural tendency will be to raise your head as you unwind, but, although you must do it this way when you first begin, always bear in mind what you are aiming for. The keeping of your head on the floor increases the work on your dorsal and abdominal muscles and gives them a very powerful massage and exercise. As you unwind, bend your knees, as this will make things easier for you than keeping them straight, and above all, unwind slowly. This posture is, as you will have realized by now, deceptively simple looking. Graceful in execution and beautiful in its static stage, nevertheless it uses a lot of muscles which you may seldom have used before in this particular manner, and it also requires a high degree of muscular control to perform it to perfection. When you can do this classical plow posture perfectly, you might like to try 3 variations, just to add variety to your daily practice schedule. In each case, the posture will limber the spine, keep it more supple and youthful, and therefore discourage arthritis and rheumatism. Variation 1. This differs from the halasana I have just described only in the position of the arms. This time they should be outstretched and pointing the same way as your legs so that you can touch your toes with your fingers. Variation 2. Execute the first plow posture I described and then move the legs as far apart as possible, remaining thus for as long as you comfortably can. This imparts an extra stretch to the muscles of the legs and thighs. Variation 3. This variation of the plow posture is called Kama-Pidasana or the ear-to-knee posture. Proceeding from the plow posture, draw your knees up to your ears, your legs remaining flat on the ground from your knees to your toes. Bend your arms and place your hands behind your knees in order to keep them pressed to the floor. Only the most supple among my readers will be able to do this at first, but regular practice of the other variations will limber your spine sufficiently for the ear to knee posture. Whichever variation of the plow posture you perform, do not omit the yoga complete breath while remaining in this static pose. Your chest will be somewhat restricted and you may possibly find that the taking of a deep breath is a little uncomfortable at first, but do keep trying and you will find it gets easier as you practice. No yoga asana should be performed unless it is in conjunction with yoga breathing. The one complements the other to affect the entire organism. The following exercise will help those who suffer from calcium deposits at the shoulder joints. Sit down in the lotus posture, or if you cannot yet do this, sit down in the easy pose. If this too is beyond you, sit down on a hard chair with your back straight. Raise your right hand and bring it behind your shoulder, and at the same time bend your left hand behind your back and join your two hands together. I mentioned this position of the hands earlier in connection with the bull posture for sciatica, but sufferers from arthritis and rheumatism in the shoulders will also greatly benefit from this simple arm exercise. Remain in the position for as long as you comfortably can and then perform it with reversed arms. Practice this exercise at any time of the day you possibly can, and incidentally, if you have round shoulders, it will greatly improve this condition. One will end this chapter with another breathing exercise which most of you will find easy and pleasant to perform. It is called the windmill breathing exercise and again will help to rid the body of calcium deposits and tone the nerves and muscles of the back, shoulders, and arms. Standing legs apart, inhale very slowly and deeply through the mouth. At the same time, lift your arms sideways to shoulder height, palms downward. Complete your inhalation. While holding the breath, swing the arms upwards and backwards 3 times in succession like a windmill, and then in the opposite direction 3 times. This should be done rhythmically and without hurry. Exhale with some force through the mouth as you slowly lower your arms. Finish this exercise standing up straight and performing a few yoga complete breaths. If you suffer from arthritis or rheumatism, practice the exercises in this chapter faithfully and don't forget that potato will you. Chapter 10. Obesity and the improvement of the figure. This chapter, one have no doubt, is the one to which the majority of women will turn first. Knowing as you do that yoga can give you a perfect figure, you have made this your main reason for pursuing the subject. I assure you this is no worse a reason for beginning the study of yoga than any other. There cannot really be a bad reason for wanting to do something good, and though yoga offers much in the way of a peaceful and healthy existence, your main concern, at this stage anyway, is how to get that pad of fat off your hips and reduce that bulging tummy. So be it. I will show you the way, and as you learn more and more of yoga, perhaps eventually your reason for studying it will be a more spiritual one. There is little need to explain to you the connection between obesity and your health. Apart from being aesthetically all wrong, it puts a strain on the heart, the internal organs, the legs and feet, and in fact the entire body. It is dangerous to be overweight. It is your duty to improve your figure for the sake of your health, your peace of mind, and your general well-being. But before I explain how yoga can help you to regain a slim, supple, and graceful figure, I must impress on you right at the beginning that there is no magic formula which will shear those extra pounds off you while you go on eating 4 square meals a day with snacks in between and goodness knows how many cups of tea sweetened with sugar. In short, yoga is not black magic. It is sheer common sense. It will help you if you are prepared to help yourself. In presenting various yoga asana in this chapter, I must again impress on you that these alone will not make you lose weight. Yoga, you see, is a way of life, not just a system of physical culture. You must study yoga as a whole and let it pervade every part of your life. Let it gradually alter your way of thinking, and in time it will affect your attitude towards food. For many people, food is a social occasion, or a means of chopping up the day. To very many others, it is a form of sheer solid comfort in times of stress or anxiety. To still others, it is a hobby or a release from boredom. They don't know what to do with themselves, so they eat and grow fat. I do not suggest that you try drastically to alter your eating habits as soon as you read this book. Let yoga gently do that for you. Practice yoga as a complete science, and very slowly adjust your eating habits according to your state of mind. By this I mean that at the moment, maybe food is of major importance to you. It is right that you have this incentive to eat, for it is necessary to take food in order to live, but many people, far too many, take far more food than they need. This results in a gradual buildup of fat in the body until there you are 2, 3, or even more stones overweight. It is never easy to take off weight, and yoga is not a shortcut by any means, but this much I promise you. That once you have slimmed, the yoga way, you will be able to eat as you please and not gain an ounce. Yoga, in affecting the glands, establishes a rhythm in the body so that you do not feel a desire for food that you do not need. You want to eat only enough to keep superbly fit. Your new calmness of mind will make it unnecessary for you to turn to food for comfort or as a means of relieving tension or boredom. As I have said, yoga will affect your way of life, even against your will. It will alter your attitude towards many things, and one of these things is the food you eat. Having warned you that I have no magic formula dreamed up by the ancient yogis with regard to recovering a slim, beautiful figure, let me discuss the first step in this battle of the bulge. The majority of overweight people suffer from chronic constipation, so one of your very first tasks is to turn back to chapter 5, reread all I have written, and vow to make an immediate onslaught on your sluggish bowels, as this complaint is very fattening as well as uncomfortable. Practice all the yoga asana described in the chapter on constipation, and in particular practice the water drinking habits of the yogis and the relaxing and contracting movements known as uddiyani. This ridding your body of excessive waste, and the practice of yoga asana and breathing exercises will go a long way towards shearing that superfluous fat from your body, and here is a yoga asana which will help you on your way. It is called the SIDESLIP, and it should not present too much difficulty if you spend the first couple of days limbering up your torso with the following simple movements. Limbering up exercises. Stand up straight, feet together, arms raised to shoulder level. Holding your arms steady, swing them as far as possible round to the right. Twist your body to the maximum to bring your right arm as far round as you can, and at the same time turn your head to look over your right shoulder so that you twist your neck to the utmost. As you turn, slowly bend your left arm so that when the swing to the right is at its height, your left thumb should touch your right shoulder. 3. Hold this position for a few seconds and then repeat the swing to the other side. You can repeat these swings ad lib, but at first it is as well to limit yourself to a maximum of 6 if you have never taken any exercise before. 2 points to remember. These swinging movements from side to side should be performed slowly and rhythmically. Emphasis is on the full sweep of the arms and the twisting of your torso to the utmost rather than on speed. Speed isn't a word used in yoga, rather substitute the word pressure. At the extreme points of the twisting movement, you can exert a slight pressure to enhance the value of this limbering exercise. And having practiced it for a day or two, you should graduate with no difficulty to a more advanced lateral twist called the SIDESLIP posture. 1. Kneel down on the floor and sit back on your heels. Raise your arms above your head, clasp your hands together and turn them palms upwards. Slide your body off your heels to the right and at the same time gently swing your arms towards the opposite side. I have demonstrated the correct movement in figure 34. You should not bend forward while performing this movement but move from the waist to the side only. Now raise your body off the floor, swing it slowly and gently to the other side and at the same time swing your arms over to the opposite side. Try to keep your knees together throughout the side slip posture, but if you find this difficult or impossible at first, you may hold your knees apart to maintain your balance, but at all times endeavor to bring your knees together. Many people, while attempting this asana for the first time, have difficulty with stage 3, that is the lifting of the body off the floor and the swinging it to the other side. In fact, some people have trouble in getting themselves off the floor at all in this position, and others, if they do succeed, land with a great thump on the opposite side and have difficulty getting up from there. Be patient. This exercise is not quite so easy as it looks. Graceful, and a great favorite with women everywhere, it looks simple enough, but in actual fact it requires a high degree of muscular control and concentration. Remember your head while you are doing the SIDESLIP posture. It should bend the same way as your arms, which you should, throughout the movement, try to press backwards as far as possible to avoid any possible sagging forward of your body. This asana is one of the finest in the entire yoga range for slimming the waist and reducing that pad of fat which often settles on top of the hip bones. You will feel a powerful stretch from your hips to your armpits, and if you do this exercise correctly, you will feel rather so in the region of your hip joints the next day. This is normal, and it will prove to you that this yoga exercise has already begun to work for you. While one side of your body is being stretched, the other side is being powerfully contracted. You can feel it squeezing the fatty tissue. It also imparts a healthy massage to the organs and muscles of the abdomen and helps the torso towards a new suppleness and grace. When you can perform the SIDESLIP posture at a moderate speed and with some degree of muscular control, then try to slow down the whole process so that it becomes a study in slow and gentle motion. This calls for a much higher degree of muscular control and thus the benefits of the posture are greatly enhanced. When you have perfected your movements in slow motion, regulate your deep breathing so that you lean to one side while inhaling and to the other while exhaling. Rhythm and slow motion are the final keywords in this exercise. In its perfect form, the side slip posture should be as follows. Lean to the right while inhaling. Remain immobile as you complete your inhalation and hold your breath for as long as possible. When the impulse to exhale appears, do so as you raise your body off the floor and swing it to the other side. Remain immobile as you complete your exhalation and remain holding your breath for as long as possible before inhaling again. This constitutes 1 round. Perform up to a dozen rounds a day, starting with 4 and adding 2 rounds per week. Like the side slip posture, this next exercise is not so easy as it looks. It is called Arohanasana, or in English the raised head and legs posture. This asana wages war on that bulging abdomen. Lie flat on your back with your legs outstretched and your feet together. Place your fingers together and place them at the back of your head just above your neck. Inhale very slowly and deeply and at the same time raise your head, shoulders, and legs off the floor, remembering to keep your knees straight. Hold this position until you have completed your inhalation. I have demonstrated the correct position in figure 36, page 111. After holding your breath for a few seconds, very slowly return to the original position. These instructions are simplicity itself, and even the photograph of me lying with my head, shoulders, and legs raised can give you a little idea of the sheer muscular effort involved in holding them that way. But try it for yourself. Those 2 words, very slowly, in connection with the lowering of the legs, will catch most of you out at first. You will want to plop your legs down on the floor in a great rush, but try as hard as you can to resist this impulse. It is the easy way out and you will gain nothing from employing it. You want to reduce that abdomen TU. Then do please remember that there is no hurry at all in this exercise, and the slow SLOW lowering of the legs is precisely what strengthens, tones, exercises, and reduces those flabby abdominal muscles and helps to reduce fat in this area. This is an exercise that requires a lot of patient practice before you can perform it perfectly. As it is a strenuous posture, do not do it more than twice a day for the first few days, and after that very gradually increase the number of times you do it up to 6. In addition to toning and strengthening the abdominal muscles and reducing excess fat, this exercise also helps to relieve constipation, so it is doubly beneficial to the would-be slimmer. The back and shoulders are also strengthened by the slow motion lifting and lowering of the head and shoulders. A word of warning. This is not an exercise for women during pregnancy or who have any internal disorders, and people with hernia should practice it with extreme caution. For those readers who find the Arohanasana too strenuous or simply beyond you, here is a similar though much easier exercise which is called UDHITTAPADASANA, the raised leg posture. 1. Lie on your back with your legs outstretched and feet together. Inhale slowly and deeply and at the same time raise your right leg, keeping the knee straight until it is at right angles to your body as in figure 37, page 111. 2. Remain thus as you complete your inhalation. Hold your breath for a few seconds while keeping absolutely still, your other leg flat on the floor. 3. When the impulse to exhale appears, do so and at the same time very slowly lower your leg. Repeat with the other leg. This simple exercise may be performed once or twice a day until you feel you are ready to try it with both legs at once. This exercise, like the previous one, will help to break up fatty tissue in the abdominal area. I must warn beginners to this, and the previous exercise, that they might find their abdominal muscles a little sore the day after starting, as you're using muscles which may never have been used in that way before. Do not worry about the discomfort. It means that yoga is working for you, so you should welcome it as a sign that you were performing the exercise properly. Remember always to lower your legs S1OWLY. Let us now try a standing posture for the improvement of the figure. This one will keep your spine healthy and supple, reduce abdominal fat, tone up sluggish bowels, and slim your waist. It is called the woodcutter exercise. Stand erect, feet far apart. Stretch out your arms, lace your fingers together and imagine that you are holding a very heavy axe. Inhale slowly and deeply and at the same time slowly raise the axe above your head until you are leaning back as far as you can without losing your balance. I have demonstrated this backward bending position in figure 40, page 112. Remain in the backward bend as you complete your inhalation. Remain immobile for a few seconds holding your breath. When the impulse to exhale appears, swing the axe down slowly as though there were actually a log in front of you and you were chopping it up. The downward movement should be a very powerful one, but do not stop when you reach the imaginary log but let your hands follow through your legs as in figure 39. Repeat this exercise 6 times, and do watch the following 4 points. Firstly, that your elbows should be straight throughout. Secondly, that your feet should be firmly planted on the floor without moving. Thirdly, that you do not move your buttocks whilst you are bending down. And lastly, that all the movement should be done from above the waist. The lower half of the body should remain absolutely still. A word of warning. This is a rather strenuous exercise and I do not recommend it for women with internal complaints or people with weak hearts. This exercise should not be done during menstruation. The next posture for reducing abdominal fat is called the triangle bend. Stand erect with your hands clasped together behind your back. Your feet should be far apart with your knees straight. Inhale slowly and at the same time turn your torso from the waist upwards, slightly to the right. Continue with your inhalation as you bend your head slowly until your forehead touches your right knee. Your hands should still be clasped behind your back. I have demonstrated the position in figure 38. Remain in this position for as long as you comfortably can without exhaling, and when the impulse to exhale appears, do so, at the same time slowly straightening up. Repeat the movement to the other side, bending your head towards the left knee. That is the triangle bend. Repeat it twice each way at first, but when you are limbered up you can perform it up to half a dozen times. Did I hear some of you say, impossible? I'll admit that if you are very stiff, or very much overweight, the triangle bend may well seem so, but again I must ask you to practice it, without straining, and you will soon be pleasantly surprised at how easy this exercise really is. It reduces fat on the abdomen, waist, and thighs. And now for another posture which has a similar name. This is trikonasana, the triangle posture, and you may find it easier than the previous one. It is one of the most effective yoga asana for reducing fat round the waistline, the hips, the upper arms, and the thighs, and it should present little difficulty even to the beginner. Trikonasana. Stand erect, feet far apart, and your arms extended sideways at shoulder level. This is the starting position as in figure 41. While keeping your head in the same position, that is not turning it, bend slowly to the right until your right hand touches your right foot. You will have to bend your right knee a little to do this, and at the same time your left leg should remain outstretched to maintain balance. Your left arm should be gradually brought up and over your head as far as possible, as I have demonstrated in figure 42. Remain in this position until you have completed your inhalation. When the impulse to inhale appears, do so and at the same time slowly return to the starting position. Repeat this exercise to the other side. The most important feature of this exercise is the gradual increase of the stretch of the free arm, which should be brought over farther and farther each time you practice this exercise. It should be performed 4 times a day at first, and when you become more flexible it can be performed up to a dozen times a day. The accent is on slow and rhythmical movement, as this exercise is much more beneficial to the health and the figure when performed slowly and gracefully. The breathing should also be carefully timed to coincide with the appropriate movements. Trikonasana is not a very strenuous posture, but all the same I do not advise it for women with any kind of internal disorders or for people suffering from hernia.